GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good evening, Montreal. Our top story tonight. Android phones can now hold your Opus Transit Pass, making boarding a breeze. We'll also check on the minor traffic delays and celebrate Sweet Sweet Bakery's new Quebec Culinary Award. Over to you, Emma.
The Great Montreal Poutine Fest returns this weekend, running Saturday and Sunday at Parc Jean Drapeau, featuring over 30 local vendors serving creative poutine variations.
Live cooking demos will showcase cheese curds sourced from farms in Montérégie, while a poutine-themed art installation opens on Saturday afternoon.
Admission is free, and families can enjoy a kid-friendly poutine-making workshop scheduled for Sunday morning at the venue, with all ingredients provided.
Lots to get to this evening, so let's dive in now and start the news with our top stories and community updates. Good evening, Montreal. Android smartphones are now able to hold Opus Transit passes, letting riders tap their phones instead of a plastic card. The STM announced the feature this month, and it rolls out across the greater Montreal area this summer. Users simply download the official app, scan their existing Opus card, and the pass appears on the device. When boarding a bus or metro, a quick tap on the phone's NFC reader replaces the old card swipe. The change aims to streamline fare payment for the city's many commuters, especially those who rely on personal devices for daily travel. The system continues to accept traditional cards, so passengers can keep both options while they get used to the digital format. As the rollout progresses, more riders are expected to adopt the phone-based solution.
Canada's men's national soccer squad is gearing up for two high-profile friendlies as it opens its pre-tournament schedule. The first match will take place in Toronto on September 26, where the Canucks will host Chile. A week later, the team travels to Montreal for a showdown with Peru on October 3. Both games are part of the Federation's effort to fine-tune tactics ahead of upcoming competitions, offering fans a chance to see new faces and seasoned veterans in action. Ticket holders in Toronto can expect a lively atmosphere at BMO Field, while Montreal's supporters will gather at Stade Saputo for the Peru clash. Coaches on both sides will use the matches to assess lineups and experiment with formations. The fixtures also provide valuable international experience, pitting Canada against two South American sides known for technical play.
Today, a severe storm swept through the Laurentian region, leaving a trail of destruction that officials say bears the hallmarks of a tornado. Winds ripped roofs from homes, uprooted trees along the scenic highways, and scattered debris across several villages. Environment Canada confirmed that the event is under investigation, noting that tornadoes are a rarity in Quebec. Senior meteorologist Dominic Martel said preliminary surveys show damage patterns consistent with a vortex, and the agency has launched a formal inquiry to determine the storm's exact nature. Emergency crews from the Provincial Rescue Service are currently assessing structural safety and assisting residents displaced by the incident. Power outages have been reported across multiple municipalities, and authorities are urging anyone with damage reports to contact local service lines. The situation remains fluid as officials work to restore normalcy.
The Transportation Safety Board of Canada has concluded its investigation into the freight train derailment that occurred in northern Quebec last winter, and it still cannot pinpoint a cause. Investigators examined track conditions, equipment failures, and operational factors, but none provided conclusive evidence. A brief note in the final report mentioned that temperature swings earlier in the season might have played a role, yet the board stopped short of confirming any link. The derailment involved 3 locomotives and 8 freight cars, 2 of which tipped over, releasing amount of diesel without causing injuries. No criminal charges have been laid, and the board said it will keep monitoring the site for delayed effects. The incident, which happened in December, disrupted service for days and prompted heightened safety checks across region's rail network. While board's findings leave the exact trigger unknown, they underscore the need for monitoring of weather-related stresses on rail infrastructure.
Christine Fréchette, Quebec's premier, faces a challenge from the Parti Québécois today as the opposition alleges she lacks the authority to bind the province to a 50-year hydroelectric agreement with Newfoundland and Labrador. The PQ statement argues that the premier does not possess the constitutional legitimacy required to commit Quebec to a deal of such duration. Negotiations between Quebec and the Atlantic province have been ongoing, focusing on a long-term electricity partnership that could reshape regional power supplies. The opposition's claim comes as both governments weigh the economic and environmental implications of a multi-decade contract. Frichette's office has not responded to requests for comment. The controversy adds a new layer to talks, raising questions about procedural steps before a binding accord can be signed. If approved, the pact would lock in electricity rates for the next half-century. Critics warn that such a long horizon could limit future policy flexibility. Later we'll see how the storm-hit power outage in Laval is affecting families, plus more top headlines. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches. No middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the break. Now let's turn to Emma Leclerc for the stories shaping our neighborhoods today.
The Federal Transportation Safety Board announced that the December derailment of a freight train in northern Quebec was caused by a combination of rapid temperature swings and a wheel defect identified on an earlier train. Investigators said the extreme cold followed by sudden warming created stress on the rails, while the earlier equipment flaw weakened the wheel assembly, making the later train vulnerable. The board's report concluded that both factors contributed to the loss of control that sent several cars off the track. Officials noted that the incident prompted a comprehensive review of maintenance protocols for equipment operating in regions with volatile weather patterns. Rail operators are now urged to intensify inspections during periods of abrupt temperature change to prevent similar accidents. The derailment halted service for several days, affecting freight deliveries to local businesses and prompting temporary road closures near the incident site.
Violent thunderstorms that swept through Quebec yesterday have left more than 40,000 households in Laval without electricity, and the outage continues this morning. Hydro-Quebec crews are working to restore service, but power remains down across the city as they assess damage to the network. The disruption extends beyond Laval, affecting over 58,000 homes across the province. Residents report loss of lighting, refrigeration, and heating, prompting many to rely on neighbors and portable generators. Officials say the storms caused down lines and damaged transformers, and repairs are expected to take several days. Authorities advise people to conserve any remaining battery power and to stay tuned for updates as crews make progress throughout the day. Technicians are inspecting lines, securing down poles, and replacing transformers where needed. The outage status will be updated regularly as power is gradually restored to affected neighborhoods.
Today, the head of the National Rail Agency announced that the high-speed line slated to run between Toronto and Quebec City will probably feature a Kingston station. The corporation's chief executive said planners have been fielding strong public calls for a stop in the historic city, and the request is now being incorporated into the route design. Officials indicated the Kingston inclusion would allow residents to travel to the province's two major hubs in under an hour, reshaping commuter patterns and tourism flows. The project remains in the early design phase, with detailed engineering and funding decisions still to come. If the Kingston stop moves forward, local businesses could see new visitor traffic, while daily commuters would gain a faster alternative to highway travel. The rail line is expected to be a cornerstone of the federal government's push for greener, faster intercity transport.
Scientists have uncovered a rare, transmissible form of melanoma moving through catfish populations in lakes across Quebec and the northeastern United States. Genetic analysis shows the skin cancer cells are passing from one fish to another, a behavior previously unseen in melanoma, which is normally non-contagious. The discovery emerged from a collaborative study of water bodies in both regions, where researchers sampled dozens of catfish and identified identical tumor DNA signatures. While the disease appears limited to the fish, experts warn the finding challenges long-standing assumptions about how melanoma spreads and could have implications for wildlife health monitoring. Authorities are now reviewing surveillance protocols to better track the condition in freshwater ecosystems, and additional testing is planned to determine the extent of the outbreak. Anglers are being asked to use gloves when handling catfish and to note any abnormal skin spots.
Movie lovers are flocking to the Scotiabank Theatre to experience Christopher Nolan's latest film in IMAX 70mm, now that the venue's massive projector has been brought back online. The theater, the province's only IMAX 70mm screen, hasn't shown a film in that format since 2014, making this run a rare event for local fans. With only 41 theaters worldwide equipped for the format, the buzz around Nolan's release has turned the downtown cinema into a gathering point for enthusiasts eager to see the extra-large image and immersive sound. The weekly schedule shows multiple showings each day, and lines have been reported outside the entrance. For residents seeking a unique movie night, the revived projector offers a chance to enjoy a cinematic experience that few other places can provide.
Let's get a look at your evening forecast with our meteorologist, bringing you the latest conditions.
A low-pressure core, now rising, meets a fast southwest jet, setting tonight's breezy, dry finish. On this date, the all-time heat mark stands at 32.7 degrees, set back in 2016 during a persistent high-pressure ridge that pushed temperatures well above the summer norm. The cold record, 11.6 degrees, fell in 2025 when an unexpected Arctic surge slipped south, blanketing the city in a brief but sharp freeze. By contrast, the climatological average for July 22nd is a high near 24 degrees and a low around 16, underscoring how today's mild 21-degree reading sits comfortably between those extremes. The live radar shows a narrow band of rain that moved across the South Shore at around 5 p.m., fed by the southwest jet that accelerated the cells eastward. By 6 p.m., the band has cleared the island, leaving only a thin trailing echo that will dissipate within the next hour. With the low pressure now rising, the atmosphere is stabilizing, so expect a dry night. At 6 p.m., Montreal sits under partly cloudy skies with a temperature of 19 degrees and a humidity near 50%. A low-pressure center is rising, allowing a building high-pressure ridge to creep in from the west, which will gradually calm the wind. The jet stream overhead, blowing 96 kilometers per hour from the southwest, has already accelerated the remaining gusts to 48 kilometers per hour from that direction, feeling brisk across exposed surfaces. The UV index reads 6, though daylight will fade shortly. No precipitation is expected through the night, and with the pressure trend shifting upward, conditions should remain clear and dry. Let's now move to the 5-day outlook. The next 5 days stay under the influence of the high-pressure dome that is now anchoring over the Great Lakes. Thursday and Friday will be clear, with highs of 25 degrees and lows of 12 and 14 respectively, and only light west to southwest breezes. Saturday brings a thickening cloud deck, pushing the high to 28 degrees, while a gentle onshore flow keeps humidity modest. Sunday clears again, offering a warm high of 29 degrees, a low of 20, and bright evening skies. Monday remains mainly clear, with a high of 29 and a low of 21, but a 20% chance of rain in the afternoon, and a modest southwest wind near 27 kilometers per hour could add a slight chill. That wraps the outlook. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunset is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic today, the NHL's All-Canadian season opener and Sweet Sweet Bakery's award win all coming up. Stay with us, we will be right back.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches. No middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
Honoré Mercier Bridge is down to one lane each way, causing moderate slowdowns across the east side. Expect queues to build near the interchange with Autoroute 6, especially during the rush hour surge. If you're heading downtown, consider the alternate crossing at Viaduct Bridge or stick to the expressway until traffic eases. On Rue St. Catherine East, between Rue Wolfe and Rue Montcalm, an obstruction is creating a minor holdup. It's a short stretch, so you can usually weave through, but give yourself an extra minute or two. Aside from those spots, most arteries from Boulevard St. Laurent to Rue St. Denis are moving freely. The southbound lane on Autoroute 15 is clear and Papineau Bridge is flowing smoothly. No transit delays this afternoon, so the metro and bus lines are running on schedule. Emma, do you think commuters will reroute to avoid the bridge bottleneck?
Tonight the Bell Center lights up with Tame Impala and Joe, a psychedelic rock showcase that promises a night of soaring synths and tight grooves. Fans can expect a dazzling light show that turns the arena into a kaleidoscopic dreamscape. Comedy fans can catch SMOSH live at Sal Wilfrid Pelletier, where the YouTube duo reads the wildest Reddit stories for a laugh-filled hour. The Great Montreal Poutine Fest spreads across Old Montreal, inviting you to sample the city's iconic comfort food from dozens of trucks and restaurants. If you're still roaming the island, Ashiga continues at Parc Jean Drapeau, delivering big stage performances from international and local artists under the summer sky. The festival's eclectic lineup means you might catch a rising indie act 1 hour and a headline rock band the next. Looking ahead, the Bell Center will host K-pop sensation IVE tomorrow and J. Cole on Thursday, so the concert calendar stays packed. And now here's Jason with sports.
Opening the sports hour with a look at the Canadiens' season debut. The Canadiens will kick off the 2026-27 NHL campaign on Sept. 29, traveling to Toronto for an all-Canadian showdown against the Maple Leafs. CBC Sports notes this is one of two domestic openers, the other featuring Edmonton and Vancouver. Montreal has dealt forward Brendan Gallagher to Vancouver, receiving future considerations in return, according to CBC Sports NHL. The move reshapes the Canadiens' forward depth as the Canucks add a veteran scorer ahead of training camp. The Canadiens have dealt forward Brendan Gallagher to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for future considerations. The move, announced late June, marks a roster shift as Montreal parts ways with the veteran winger, while Vancouver adds depth to its forward group. An international sports firm has injected $30 million into the Northern Super League, the Canadian women's professional soccer competition now in its second season, supporting its 6-team structure spanning Vancouver, Calgary, Halifax, Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa. The Canadiens have dealt forward Brendan Gallagher to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for future considerations, a move confirmed on June 29 that reshapes Montreal's forward depth and adds a veteran presence to Vancouver's roster as the off-season progresses.
Sweet Sweet Bakery on Rue Saint-Denis in the Plateau Mont-Royal just earned the 2026 Quebec Culinary Award for Best Small Bakery, an honor announced on July 20th. Owner Marie-Claire Bouchard says the recognition is a thank you from the neighborhood that lines up daily for her sourdough loaves and buttery pastries. The shop, which employs 8 staff, will now expand its range, adding seasonal tarts and a gluten-free line to meet the buzz the award has created. It also shines a spotlight on Plateau's thriving food scene, encouraging other small producers to dream bigger. For Plateau, the bakery is more than a storefront. It's a gathering spot where neighbors share coffee and stories. That sense of community is why Sweet Sweet matters to Montreal's heart. And now a sweet note. Sweet Sweet Bakery just earned the Quebec Culinary Award, celebrating the flavors that make our city shine.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches. No middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
On a breezy evening at Parc Jean Drapeau, families gathered around a modest stage where Dr. Sophie Tremblay, a public health physician, shared calm, clear answers about the recent cyclosporosis cases reported across the United States. The scent of grilled corn drifted from nearby picnickers as children chased bubbles, while neighbors leaned in, phones ready to capture the reassurance. Dr. Tremblay explained that the infection, caused by a microscopic parasite found in contaminated water, spreads through ingestion, not through person-to-person contact, and that Montreal's water system remains rigorously monitored. She pointed to a simple diagram of a water droplet, then handed a bright blue water filter bottle to a local teacher who promised to distribute them to her classroom. The crowd's sigh of relief was palpable, and a spontaneous round of applause echoed over the lake. In that moment, the community felt a shared sense of safety, reminded that vigilance and clear communication can turn uncertainty into confidence. Montreal's strength lies in its caring neighbors, and tonight that spirit shines brighter than any sunset. It reminds us why we look out for each other. Together, we keep Montreal safe and caring.
Inside the soaring nave of Notre Dame Basilica, where sunlight filters through stained glass rose windows, Café St. Henry has opened its flagship location, Le Firmament. The micro-roaster, known for careful sourcing, set up a modest wooden counter beneath the vaulted ceiling, its copper espresso machine gleaming beside a vintage cross-back chair. As patrons sip velvety dark roast, the scent of freshly ground beans mingles with the faint incense that still lingers from the morning mass, creating a moment that feels both sacred and everyday. The cafe's purpose goes beyond coffee. A portion of every cup sold will flow directly into the Basilica's restoration fund, helping preserve the gilded altar, intricate stone carvings, and the organ that has echoed through the city for more than a century. Visitors, from longtime Montrealers to tourists clutching guidebooks, pause to watch the barista hand a steaming mug to a child whose eyes widen at the sight of the stained glass angels reflected in the coffee's crema. It's a reminder that community can be brewed in unexpected places, and that a simple act of sharing a drink can help safeguard a treasured piece of our heritage.
Thanks, Montreal, for watching the local sunset. Tonight's look at the new Opus Transit Pass on Android phones shows how tech keeps us moving. Stay tuned tomorrow for more stories that matter to our city. We'll bring you updates on the high-speed rail plans, the power outages in Laval, and the latest on the Quebec tornado. Until then, take care.